Everybody is talking about AI, but nobody's talking about the most important use case for AI, which is analyzing baseball data. And that's exactly what we're gonna do in this video. I built 4 tools that I think you're gonna find valuable. And before you hop out of here, because you have zero interest in watching a video of someone typing into AI chatbots and having it respond and build stuff, that's already done. In this video, we're just gonna talk ball. I'm gonna talk through some of the problems that I've run into as an analyst, things I wanted to be more efficient on, and show you how you can use them to also be a smarter baseball analyst. So let's do it. 20 to 30 hours of my time went out the window in these last couple weeks trying to build these things. And it was inspired by this guy, Robert Stock, pitcher who got up, I think, through the show with the Red Sox, got a little cup of coffee here. Multiple cups. I use a cup of espresso if you've been up for a variety of periods of in your life. Anyways, he's a really fun pitcher, throws a nasty sweeper, and he said that he built a stuff model, zero technical knowledge, and it was fun. And that all resonated with me. And I thought, if this guy throwing 85-mile-per-hour sweepers in the show can build this stuff, then I can do this as well and make myself more efficient. That's exactly what we did. The first one off the bat, pitch usage by count. This is something that's irked me over the last 5 years. I think we as an industry have done a poor job to viewers and fans of pointing out how pitcher game plans change based on count, but also just purely split based on handedness. Savant added this in this most recent season, I believe, to show this handedness split based on usage, which is an awesome step. I'm glad we're heading in this direction. But what I wanted to build here was a really quick way for you to just take a peek at a guy versus a specific handedness and not necessarily understand usage, which you can do right here, but understand situationally when he's using specific pitches. So all I want you to do here, even if you're just glazing over the numbers, is just go to the green and go to the red. So Tarek Skubal versus right-handed hitters right here. You can see all his pitch types. And you go immediately and see, okay, early count, he's using more sinker than he is in all counts, which is this column. So these red and greens are based off this all counts column. When there's a change plus or minus 5 percentage points or greater, it'll turn red or it'll turn green. So you can quickly see, okay, early count spots, he uses less forcing, uses more sinker. When he's behind, he also uses more sinker. When he's ahead is where he pushes to his changeup almost 40% of the time or so. Early count, very few changeup. So that's how you can quickly, in 15, 20 seconds, understand what this guy does in different situations. And, it's one of those things where maybe you understand this, like cutters are often pitches used in behind and count spots. But for Garrett Crochet, for example, when I was looking through this, his approach versus right-handed hitters, I actually internally always just viewed him as like a cutter sweeper guy with the four seam. And I assumed that cutter was more of a deep count pitch. But here's a great example of the application why I was wrong in that case. Pitcher ahead, red, right? So he uses fewer sinker, fewer cutter in pitcher ahead spots. When he's behind in situations is where he pushes on that sinker and the cutter. In those situations where he's ahead, again, we're going to the green, it's sweeper and it's changeup. It's very quick. It's a really easy way for you to understand what this guy's doing. When you're watching a game, you could quickly kind of mentally understand what's going on, even maybe write him down quick. And when you're watching him attack right-handed hitters, if you notice a shift in his approach or why he's doing something weird, like say he's throwing a bunch of cutters in a game when he's ahead, you might be wondering why. Relative now that is an odd thing for him, and it makes you smarter as an analyst, allows you to think through things, and I love it. There's also this idea that every pitcher throws every pitch in every count. You hear this from analysts all the time. And listen, it's roughly true, right? There's a lot of guys, especially on fastballs, who can throw this pitch in every situation. But I personally think when I hear that it lacks context, where you can very quickly now get that context. And you want to confirm it too, right? So Brian Woo's a good example. Versus lefties, his four-seam fastball is in fact a pitch he uses over 50% of the time in every situation. Backs off it a little in the head spots, as you can see right there. But I would say for the most part, this is true. Like he actually does that. Versus right-handed hitters, it's a bit of a different story. You can say that he uses that pitch in every count, but there's clear tendencies on when exactly he uses that. When he's early count, he uses more sinker. When he gets ahead, he actually uses that four-seam fastball as a pitch to put guys away. This is somewhat similar to a guy like Hunter Brown. Look at Hunter Brown. Was it lefties or righties? I think it was righties. So again, another flat usage guy with his four-seam fastball versus lefties. So you can say that he uses his four-seam fastball in all counts versus lefties. Versus righties, it's a bit of a different story in my opinion. When he's behind, he does not use the four-seam fastball a lot relative to all counts here. And pitcher ahead, 34%. Jumps out again, like he's using that fastball versus righties as like a 2-strike pitch, goes to the knuckle curve as well. Again, eyes going to the green, eyes going to the red. Very easy way for you to understand what's going on. We could also do this from a compare standpoint. So if we go to Gavin Williams, who was one of my breakout picks last year, he had an awful April, really, really bad. But if you jump to the end of the year, you can very quickly see he completely changed his approach. Again, all red here. So the four-seam fastball went down in usage. He added a sinker, which he wasn't throwing in April relative to September. A lot more sweeper in those situations. kind of throwing a bit of cutter, throwing a bit of curveball. Very quick way for you to understand what's going on with an individual pitcher. Hope you find it valuable. The next one is off some data that is not public. So I get data from a source in an organization regarding batted ball data from minor leaguers specifically. And this stuff's not public. I hope it will be one day. But for now, it's just something I get, and I know there's some others in the industry that get it as well. But I always had a bad ability to like visualize this data. I get it in like CSV dumps. It's just a dump. So I then throw it in Excel and play around with it. I wanted to be able to visualize this. And I was talking with Kylie McDaniel of ESPN, shout out, did some great work. He was on a video of mine a bit ago talking about some breakout prospects and stuff. And this is exactly what I sent him. I was like, I want to try to build this. And he said it was a great idea. So I decided to build it. Batted ball on the left, plate discipline on the right. So the easiest way to do this off the bat is just to put in a guy. Top 100 prospects from Fangraphs. I took the position players and I added in some stragglers. It's about 80 players in total. It's not everybody in baseball. Do I still think it's relevant and valuable? Absolutely, yes. You could jump right off the bat and just type a guy in. The main utility of this tool is to understand on each side of the plot where this guy stands out. So let's go with Zahir Hope off the bat. So immediately when you click that, what you see is, again, batted ball, top right is good. Top right of these plots are good. You can see the little watermarked words there. So again, he lifts the ball a ton. He hits the ball extremely hard. Y-axis over here is 90th percentile exit velocity. X-axis is hard hit launch angle. So in that bucket of hard hit balls, what angle are they at? Are you actually able to lift your hard hit balls? Hope does this pretty much better than anybody in the minors. Now, it's not context adjusted in terms of level or age or anything. You can definitely get into iterations of that long term. Plate discipline, though, again, most of these guys are going to be aligned in some way. The guys who hit the ball really hard and lift it are probably not the best in the plate discipline side of things. But I think it's a good way for you to understand what like group these prospects are in generally. So the plate discipline, he's around average chase, Zahir Hope, but he's a little bit below average in zone contact. So he's got a bit of a zone contact problem. So again, Zahir Hope's you can go around the peripheral too. So again, you can click in and go, okay, there's Hope, reset it up there. Oh, Edward Florentino's a really interesting one because he is to the right, which is good on this for the most part. Exit velocity is around average, but he lifts the ball incredibly well, better than pretty much every other top 100 prospect. And he's also pretty good from a plate discipline and zone contact standpoint. I think he's a very high floor player. You could reset again up top. Some guys on the back end, I did put some qualifiers. There's a couple guys here that don't have a lot of batted ball data. So like Ethan Salas doesn't lift the ball, doesn't hit it hard at all. Pretty good plate discipline, but he had 28 ball in play there. So do with that what you will. Not that big of a sample. You could also just have it throw a random guy. Jesus Mate is a really good example here. Batted ball, he hits it hard, doesn't really lift it, but again, more of a line drive oriented hitter, and his plate discipline's pretty good. Consider the fact that he's 18 years old, obviously a very good prospect. You could look at Connor Griffin as well. Griffin. Good example here. So really good average plate discipline. He's 19 years old. Again, he doesn't have a lift problem, but he just scorches the ball and he does put it on the ground a bit. So obviously over time, if we're doing like a trend line, would love to see him kind of drift over here. But he's a guy that is just so athletic, really fun defender. He's like a 70-80 runner as well. Just an incredible player. But again, you can play around with this any direction you want. The dots, actually I didn't explain this, but the dots are expected damage on this side and the color coding on the dots, and its whiff rate on this side overall. So again, I wanted to play around with exactly what to do in there. I might change and put age. I think that might be a good one just to have that cover each side, and you could point out the guys relative to other dudes who are older than them. You could see if there's a dude who's young and up on this side, it's probably a good sign that maybe he adds more bat speed and is very good. Still playing around with some of it, but for now, this is the iteration that I like. I think it's really cool. Also, one thing I didn't point out in here, let's grab another prospect. What about let's do Montes, who's fun. This dude, yeah. So he lifts the ball, hits the ball incredibly hard. He does not have a good ability to make contact in the zone at all. You can see the whiff rate down there. I also have a projected barrel rate in here. You can see right there, 15.5%. I basically used Claude to predict barrel rate based on 90th percentile exit velocity and this hard hit launch angle. So I gave it those variables and it inputted a formula, and now it spits out a projected barrel rate. Again, I like it because the average lines up perfectly with 8.6, which is, I believe, right around the major league average as well. It's a pretty good way to understand, just because, again, I don't have every single ball hit in the minor leagues. I only have the aggregated information. So there's some error in it. I think they said, or the model said at least 90% confidence interval that the projection is within 2 points based off the data from the prior year. So it's not totally predictive. It's very much like a reflective stat, but barrel rate is obviously a really important thing to look at in the minor leagues. These are two of my more polished tools, I will say. Now, as we jump into some more things that I'm working on presently, this one's really fun. So this one is like a live game feed. And I spent the most time on this one because there's a lot of elements of it. It's not perfect, but I believe we are getting there with it. So I'll show you Peyton Tolley, for example. I've found the most utility for this is actually through mobile. So if I'm on my phone, and going to Savant is kind of a mess for me for the most part. So I built this and I found that I'm much more efficient hopping to my phone, looking at things this way. I would say the things to focus on here are the plot and the stuff and movement area right here. This release point chart I love is really cool as well, and the locations are good. But once you get into discipline and batted ball events, run into some issues with building that element out. But again, you could see the application across tools here as well. The usage thing we were playing around with is on the right side right here. So you could see, based on this specific game, what is he doing in early count? What is he doing ahead? What is he doing behind? What is he doing pre-2 strike? You could also look historically right here. So I'm going to fetch Peyton Tolley's data from the prior year. And you could see right off the bat, now if you jump back to live game, you could go, oh, wait, that sinker's new, which is obviously a new pitch he debuted and looks really good. He's throwing it to left-handed hitters. I think he only threw 3, all of them to Matt Wallner, which you could jump in and again kind of hover and see, versus Matt Wallner right there, the shape, the velocity on them, etc. Historical is, again, just prior season. He obviously didn't throw a ton, but I'm still working on exactly how to present some of the historical stuff here. But same idea, right? We're bringing over this concept of ahead, behind, even, and how you can actually use those pitches from an approach standpoint. You can look at shapes. So this has become, and again, this is good validation of the tool itself. This has become my immediate way to just check in on guys and understand what they're doing and how they're doing it, especially in-game if I'm not at home sitting and watching or something along those lines, or at work watching. The next one right here, forcing fastball movement. Again, data that is not public, that I get in CSV form, that I was trying to figure out how to visualize. This is another one that I kind of collabed with Kylie McDaniel on, so shout out to him. This one's fun. So this one is every pitcher in the minors forcing fastball plotted. And again, this middle portion right here is an average forcing fastball. So it's right around, it's like 15.5 vert with like 9.5-ish arm side movement. So the different quadrants you go into signify the different pitches from a characteristic standpoint that you have. This top left is cut ride. Top right is more ride run. So think like super efficient power fastball. Two plane is the ones that are more low slot. So again, you're looking at below average vertical movement, more than average arm side movement. So pushing on like sinker territory. And then this bottom left isn't bad. Again, this isn't a bad good situation with the plot. It's more just pointing out the characteristic. Bottom left is pure cut. Now it's scaled based on velocity. So if you're looking for deeper red, those are harder fastballs. So the one that obviously is going to jump out right off the bat is right here, who was traded to Baltimore, I believe, from the Mets, Ramon Gomez. I don't know how to say it. Ramon. It might just be Ramon Gomez. He's 17-10 at 104 miles per hour, which is insane. Now, I'm not splitting this out based on the ball in the minor leagues or the ball of the AAA, etc. Again, it's just a way for you to roughly understand what a guy's doing, get the shape that he was throwing on his forcing fastball the prior season. I have this ability to show outliers here, which is these crazy guys throwing other stuff. But if you turn that off, you get a better sample of exactly how the balls move on all these guys in the minor leagues in this most recent season, 2025. Chase Burns obviously is one that jumps off, right? You're like, who's that really hard red dot who's throwing a bunch of cut ride? Chase Burns' fastball is a very, very good pitch. What's up here? Ryan Lambert, a good one. One of my favorite pitching prospects from a reliever standpoint in the Mets organization. 20-3 at 97 from a 6'4" release height. It's a really, really good pitch. I can also see some other ones like Moises Rodriguez. I don't even know who that is. Troy Gregory Alfred's a good one. I know he was on Fangraphs, kind of picks to click for the subsequent season. Really bad forcing shape, doesn't get a lot of extension. So he's in this weird territory where he's like kind of cutting the ball. I imagine he's going to be a heavy sinker guy. I'm not bringing in usage here. But the other angle that I also found valuable with this is pointing out team tendencies. So I like this because this is the Cubs, for example. They have the most cut on their fastballs in the minor leagues. So this is every Cub pitcher in the minor leagues, just their fastball. How much do they cut the ball? Not even how much do they cut the ball, but I just want you to look visually. Again, comparison tool. Look at how many dots are on the left side, which is implying less arm side movement than average. And even down here, these are like the true cut fastballs. Think like Cade Horton, Brad Keller along those lines, as opposed to the Chase Burns true cut ride. A lot of dots down there. Compare that to, let me see who else I had down here. Who did I have? I think I had the Rays was the team I wanted to look at. So again, take a peek at this. And now look when I jump to the Rays where the dots go, right? Almost zero in this cut area. They're either going after cut ride or just pure ride. A lot of their guys are super, super vertical. A more standard plot would be if you go to like the Braves, right? Pretty scattered throughout. Much more diverse approach in terms of how they use things. Let me see like the Mariners, where are they? Mariners, a lot of ride run, a lot of sink, right? But I just thought it was interesting from just a raw fastball standpoint. Like a lot of cut, very few arm side movement fastballs for the for the Cubs, Red Sox, pretty diverse as well. Most of these are diverse. Again, we're looking at the tails here in terms of how to use this overall, but I hope this makes sense and is valuable to you. That will be linked in the video description as always. We also have like a pitch plot creator. What else did I have? Did I go through all 4 already? Yeah, I did. Wow, it's a quicker video than I thought. Pitch plot creator is a very random one. This is one that is purely for my like visualization. I'm not gonna make this one public because it has like an API call that costs me money, like 5 cents a post or whatever. I don't, again, fully understand a lot of what I did, but it's really cool stuff and I'm super hyped about it. So you take screenshots of the CSVs that I get, you pop it in here, and it'll give you basically one of those like picture cards that TJ Stats and Pitch Profiler and some of these other guys use. It takes a bit, but it's essentially like recognition. And see, it's incorrect on some of this. So you can see some of this stuff is a work in progress for the most part, right? This sweeper should be over here. This is Bishop Letson, I'm going to go with. But the release point angle works, right? 5.3 release with 7.5 extension. You can see relative to this average dot, he's lower than average with big extension. Pretty good spin. You could poke around. He's four-seam sync change. He's got a little cutter. Also throw this slider. The slider again should be on the other side. This one's a bit of a work in progress. It was supposed to be a tool for me to grab these plots more easily just from a raw CSV dump that I could just screenshot it in, send it in, and boom, I get this. But, you know, we're working on it. Nothing's perfect in this world with AI and whatnot. But this was fun. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you got some ideas of like maybe what you'd want to do on the Claude side of things if you're thinking about playing around with some of this stuff. I did have to upgrade to like the max package, which is pretty expensive. I think it's like $100 a month. But I found it really valuable, and I hope you do as well if you're playing around with this stuff. If you do anything cool in here and you want to share it, shoot it in the comments, shoot it to me in DMs. I'd love to take a look. And yeah, I'm going to shoot some of these things into the description of this video if you want to play around. Again, I would hesitate on the live tool. Still working on that. I'll probably do a more formal push and maybe put it in other videos if I get to the point of being comfortable releasing it and such. But use the prospect tools, which are really cool. That data is not public. You could take a look at it. And the pitch count tool is, I think, a really good way for you to understand things going on. Thanks to Robert Stock. Thanks to a couple people, Steven Sutton Brown, who was an individual to help me understand how to like get some of the GitHub stuff going on here. Other people as well. I probably forgot to mention them, but there's a ton of people to shout out. So follow them, linked in the video description. Thanks as always for watching.